Okay, so Theories of Relativity, Chapter 21. Dragging my pack behind me, I stumble through the kitchen to the porch. As I pull on my coat, I see car keys sitting on the freezer. It's a long way to town, too far to walk in the dark and cold. I snatch up the keys and go outside. A brisk wind pushes snow in my face as I run across the yard to the shed. The doors are frozen shut, but I lean on them and they open. I glance quickly over my shoulder, but I don't see Phil coming after me. Throwing my pack into the passenger side of the car, I slide into the driver's seat. My hands shake, but I fit the key into the ignition and turn it. The car roars into life. In the rearview mirror, I see a shadow at the porch window. Then a square of yellow light falls across the yard as the back door opens. I ram the gear shift to R and push the accelerator to the floor. I've never driven before, but how hard can it be? As the car shoots out of the garage on an angle, the rear bumper takes out one of the shed doors. Phil sprints towards the shed, hands waving, mouth open, but I have the engine roaring so loudly I can't hear him. I can imagine what he's saying, though. Frantically, I shove the gear into drive. Wheels spin uselessly, and Phil looms out of the dark and grabs the passenger door handle. Suddenly, the tires catch, and I plow forward through drifts. Phil leaps back and sprawls into the snow. The car swerves from side to side as I drive down what I think is the lane. It's hard to tell because I can't find the headlights. But nothing stops my progress like a tree or fence, so I keep my foot on the accelerator. The windshield fogs up inside and I rub my hand across it, but that just smears the wet. I can't see a thing. I catch a glimpse of the mailbox and realize I'm at the road, and I turn sharply to the left. My eyes dart back and forth between the windshield and the various levers on each side of the steering wheel. I push and pull at them, and finally, headlights come on and wipers sweep across the windshield. It doesn't help as the snow is coming down diagonally, cutting my visibility to zero. The back of the car fishtails. I raise my foot slightly from the gas. The sign for the main road leaps out of the dark. I slam my foot down on the brake, but the car doesn't stop. It skids sideways across the road and into a ditch. Okay, so driving is not as easy as it looks. I sit, the breath knocked out of me by the steering wheel hitting my chest. After a few minutes, I put the car in reverse and try to back out of the ditch, but it's too deep. I'm not going anywhere. I turn off the engine and run through my options. Return to the farm and my father, which is certain death, or walk through the snow and dark into town, which is also certain death. Some choice. But I'd rather take death by freezing than a beating, so I decide to walk. Leaving the keys in the ignition for Phil to find, I grab my backpack and climb out of the car. I scramble up the steep side of the ditch and stand on the road, disoriented. The curtain of snow parts briefly, and I see a faint orange glow in the sky to the west, so I head in that direction. My face hurts like hell where my father hit me, and I scoop up snow to put against my cheek. I'm shivering already, though I've walked only 20 steps from the car. Who am I kidding? I'll never make it to town. They'll find my stiff, frozen body by the side of the road. So how was your Christmas, Dylan? Super. The best fucking Christmas ever. I sat in a hospital with a dying man, and then I met and fought my moron father. There was no heat, no turkey, no tree, no gifts, and now I'm walking through the frozen wilderness. I have a theory, which my experiences have proven, that when you're down, life takes a giant boot and stomps on you for good measure. From the road behind me, I hear the sound of an approaching car engine. I'm getting ready to dive into the ditch when a pickup pulls up beside me. A window rolls down, and Jack sticks his head out. "What the hell are you doing out here?" he asks. "Walking to town," I reply. "Get in." I climb into a pickup. "Would you know anything about that car back there in the ditch?" he asks. I shrug. and hold my frozen hands to the vent in the dashboard. It's painful, but it feels great. Someone will find it. I take it you were at the farm? Is Phil there? He's just full of questions. He throws a glance at my damaged face, then back to the road. Appears the reunion didn't go too well. He squints and slows the pickup as a gust of wind-blown snow obliterates the road in front of us. Hell of a night to be out. Lucky for you I came along. Burglar alarm went off in the store. I expect it's just the storm setting it off. Still, I have to check. We pass a cluster of houses, and then we're in the town itself. Where are you going? He asks. Oh, I'm catching the next bus that comes through, I tell him. I have a return ticket. Well, there's nothing until 11 tomorrow morning, Jack says. Oh. In the city, buses and trains run day and night. I guess I'll find a doorway, wrap myself inside my sleeping bag, and wait for the morning. That will be a novelty for this town. I bet they don't have street kids here. I could take you back to the home, Jack suggests. Fine. I don't want to go back there, but at least it's warm. This time, Jack parks the pickup and continues to the door of the home with me. I expect to see Miriam, but it's a different nurse on duty, younger, with black hair pulled into a ponytail. Jack steps in with me, takes her to one side for a brief chat, and comes back. It's been real nice seeing you again, Dylan. He pulls off his glove and sticks out his hand. You ever need anything, you let me know. Ed's a good friend of mine, and I'd consider it an honor to help one of his people. I take the offered hand and shake it. He really seems to mean it. I'm sorry about this. He points to my face. That's Phil, but you should know that your grandfather, well, he cared about you, boy, he says quickly. Talked about you all the time. Said he was going to start a court case to get custody of you. Why didn't he? I ask. I feel like Grandma's china, broken into small pieces. He started the proceedings, but it takes a long time. Anne got ill and died, and it took the life right out of him, Jack says. Then those letters he sent to you, most came back unopened. He thought he'd lost you. By then, he was ill himself. I want to believe him. I really do. But I've been crapped on so many times. Anyway, you take care of yourself. Jack nods at the nurse and leaves. I'm Amy, the girl says. You look like you could do with a bit of food inside you. She walks briskly down the corridor. Most of the rooms we pass are lit and filled with people visiting for Christmas. Granddad's room is dark. Here we are. She turns on the lamp. You get cleaned up a bit, and I think I can find a turkey dinner for you. I go into the washroom and let hot water run over my hands. I splash it onto my face, wincing when it hits my sore cheek. Back in the room, I sit in the chair beside the bed. Nothing's changed. Granddad's hands lie unmoving on the white sheet. His mouth is slightly open, his breathing erratic. There are voices in the corridor as people walk by, glance in and go on, and suddenly, I'm glad I'm here. Fiercely glad I am with Granddad on Christmas night. Amy returns with a tray piled with covered plates, and she sets on the table. Here you go. Turkey dressing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, carrots and peas, and pie for dessert. It smells wonderful. I dig in as she tucks a sheet around Granddad. You can press charges if you like, she says. Puzzled, I look up from the food. Assault charges. Oh, I shake my head. She gently fixes the pillow behind my grandfather's head. Ed's a lovely man, she says. Real nice. He used to take me out and show me fireflies, I tell her. Did he? That's great. Why did I tell her that? Tears sting behind my eyes. I'll bring you some ice for your cheek, Amy says. And I'm left alone with my turkey dinner and Granddad. Scraping the last morsel of mashed potato from the plate, I push the tray away and stare at the man in the bed. Lovely, Amy said, and nice. Miriam said I had the look of him about me. To hell with Phil. I sit in the chair and doze, wake, and hear the quiet all around me, so I know it's late. Someone, Amy I guess, has turned out the light, so I cross to the window and open the curtains to see that the sky has cleared and the blue moon shadows stretch across the snow. I leave the curtains open, letting the moonlight fall across Granddad. I think he'd like that. Then suddenly, I reach out and wrap my granddad's hand in mine, like he once held mine, and for a while, the anger inside of me quiets. Then it's morning. Amy brings me breakfast and says she's off duty soon and will give me a ride to the store. I wander around the room, waiting for her, feeling antsy. Ready to go? She hands me a scarf, gloves, and a hat with ear flaps. These were your grandfather's, she says, almost apologetically. Not the height of fashion, but they will keep you warm. I noticed that you didn't have any last night. Thanks. I pull on the hat, catch my reflection in the mirror, and it's sort of cool. I like that it was his. Do you have anywhere you can be reached for, well, you know. She gestures towards the bed. I begin to shake my head when I remember Glenn's card. You can reach me here. He's what is he? A friend of mine, I guess. I'll read the number to her and she jots it down. Before we leave, I look at the bed once more, the shrunken figure, and I wait. Because if this were television, Granddad would suddenly open his eyes, beckon me close, and in a gasping voice say, "Dylan," or something profound. But the eyes remain closed, the lips don't form words, and the breathing rattles. This isn't television.